Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bullish or Bearish. I'm Angela Chu, and I'm from Success Options Group, and I'm here with my brother Tony for another great episode where we cover like one of those topics that's actually pretty important and like one of those things that's really in the news. And we let you know both sides of the story so you can actually make a decision that is correct for you.
Yeah, like Angela said, my name's Tony, and the topic for this time, for this episode, is about pension funds. And recently in the news, there was something about news about in London where, basically the pension funds. There's a lot of news about them, right, and things of worries and concerns because of the rising bond rates. So let's just start there. And I'm taking the side that, notwithstanding this one event, pension funds are necessary. That they're an important part of the investment infrastructure. So, I mean, you think about some of the biggest pension funds there are, right? There's a Social Security Trust Fund that's like 2.9 trillion, right? The military, like, and then talk about California, like CalPERS, which is basically the California employees. And all of these things, they're massive, right? So that's talking about a lot of money under investment. And basically this is what people are looking for. They're looking for that retirement benefit, that pension, that that income that's going to come no matter what as you retire.
Okay, so yes, it sounds wonderful. Like the whole idea of a pension that's going to like guaranteed income, when you retire. But the problem is, you just mentioned a whole bunch of these different pension funds, and not a single one of them has not had issues in the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, they've all had so many struggles about, are they actually going to be able to last until it's time for you to retire? Because they're already struggling with the load now of the people that are already retired that are drawing on the pension. Like by the time it gets to your turn to actually like draw from the pension, is it even still going to exist anymore? Because they're already struggling to keep solvent now.
But like we're talking about what are the alternatives, right? So the thing is, like, these pension funds have to manage such a large asset, like such a large allocation of money. And people, we've talked about this in prior videos and a lot in our workshops, just inflation, the cost of living, people are living longer. There's fewer people and inputting into the pension funds because there's fewer workers than people that are taking out, right? So this is all they need somebody to manage it. And the best thing about it is like they're usually very tightly knit with governments, right? So either state governments, federal governments, or whatever. So that means the government is backing these kind of pension funds, right? So it's more likely or more unlikely, like whereas like a hedge fund might just blow up. These pension funds aren't necessarily, they're not going to blow up, just like in the UK where the government came in and supported them because of what they were having to deal with.
Okay, so I get where you're trying to come from, but as an individual, like that, is just like a normal working person. When I think about paying my taxes and I think about the government like supporting these things, if I'm not part of that specific pension plan that the government is bailing out in a sense, then aren't my tax dollars going to support something that I'm getting zero return on? And then the other thing is that if you think about it, you're talking about how these pension plans are huge and they're responsible for the returns. That's great, except for because they're the ones making all the decisions and you have no control over the decisions that they make. Like you have no like say in what they invest your pension in and whether or not it actually gets a decent return. So you don't even know like how much, like you're supposed to get a guaranteed, when you retire, a guaranteed withdrawal. But even now, the uncertainty and the risk of, is that actual guarantee legitimate? Is it actually going to be there? Is, it's kind of pretty like scary. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get it, kind of thing. Because like I personally have a pension that came from when I worked for the pharmaceutical industry. Like it's there. I'm supposed to get it like when I retire. But I don't even know if it's still going to exist or if I'm even going to like, or I'm going to even be able to count on it by the time that I can retire.
Yeah, but like, see, that's the thing is people are looking for the easy button, right? They want like, oh, I don't want to even think about this. And we've talked a lot about this in workshops. Like a lot of people just want like, yeah, I don't want to do anything. I just want to just get the check every month or whatever, right? And that's what these that's the service that these provide for these kind of investors or these people that are retired. And the guaranteed income is something that's, your other solutions would be some of the things we've talked about in the past too, where like those insurance kind of not schemes, but insurance plans that pay out because after you put in your money, right? And I think you've talked a lot about governments and like bailing them out. The truth is, like, I think a lot of the government takes money from these pensions, right? So that's why they're so tightly invested, right? So like, we've talked about this before as well, right? Like the government's spending more than they take in. So how are they paying for that? And that's where that like there's strength and stability in these pension funds. And in terms of investments, right? It is a tricky question for all investors. How do you get yield?
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that I've noticed, at least with my pension, is that when I look at it, most times if it's a company run pension, so I'm not talking about the government run pensions, but like the pensions offered by the industries that still offer them, like pharmaceutical, nursing, sometimes like, the different healthcare fields sometimes offer them, or, the thing is those are actually controlled by the company that's offering the pension. Now, I've looked personally at my own, and guess what? A lot of the stocks that they've invested in are the own company stock. So if that company that's offering my pension, that's supporting my pension, like doesn't like last until I retire, then my pension pretty much disappears. Because if they go bankrupt, one of the problems is that their pension, also is affected, and you don't get like what you like are expecting to get. You know what I mean? So all that also depends on, okay, is this company going to stay around?
Yeah, I mean, so there's choices, right? When you quit a company or you retire from a company, I think that comes back to like, well, what are you going to do with that? If you decide to take a distribution from your pension fund, what are you going to do with it? What are you investing in? And how are you going to make money from that? And that's the benefit that this provides to you is like, granted, they do have to pay for their overhead, right? So they have people that manage the money and the people that send out checks and all the systems, right? But that's all part of this thing to help make it easy for you, right? So that or just get your check every month, right? And you make money.
Okay, but you talk about getting your check for like every month. But do you even know if by the time you get that check, because it's a set amount that you're getting for your pension, is that going to actually be enough for you to live off of when you're retired? Because a lot of people now they're drawing their pension, but that's still not enough to survive on. So they have to like still work even though they're trying to draw their pension, or they still have to like find other ways to like actually like make up the costs in a sense.
Yeah. So I think that becomes a part of your whole plan, right? So, even in a normal, like outside of pension investments, 401ks, like, you have your dividend stocks, you have your value stocks, and you need to create some sort of spreadsheet, some sort of way to like figure out how do you make up for your lost salary, right? So, or your lost wages when you retire, because, you know, if you're making so much amount a year, you need to replace that, right? Or you need to drastically reduce your expenditures, your expenses, right? And some things are fixed, like your housing, your food, your electricity, and all these kind of fixed costs that Angela's talked a lot about in the workshops. It's just you have to manage that, so you have to at least make that. So this is just one part. Your pension payments are just one part of your overall plan.
So really what it boils down to is what we talk about in all of our workshops and all of the classes we give is like, it's not about any individual thing. It's actually about having an overall plan that works for you. Because like we said, you can't like just count on one thing. Like you can't just say, okay, I have a pension and that's it. Because even though like Tony was talking about the pros of like, it's, government supported, you're guaranteed, fixed, like a certain amount, you never know if that certain amount is going to be enough unless you've planned for your life, that you've done your own thinking, you've done your own research to make sure that whatever you have planned for your retirement, be it pension, 401k, or even both of them, to like make sure that it works for you so that you will have the life that you want to be living.
Yep. So make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe, check, leave some comments for us if you enjoyed this topic or what your thoughts are. And we'll see you next time.